I created this algorithm, Brittany announced to the board, clicking through my presentation slides with practiced confidence, her perfectly manicured nails dancing across the remote. 6 months of my work, my breakthrough that could revolutionize our company's data processing, was being stolen in real time while I sat frozen in the back row. But what Brittany didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd learned to protect myself after the last time she'd stolen my work. My name is Sandra Williams, and I'm about to tell you how a hidden message in line 3847 saved my career. I joined Technova Solutions 18 months ago as a senior software engineer, recruited specifically for my expertise in machine learning algorithms. The company was struggling with processing massive datasets for their financial clients, transactions that needed to be analyzed in real time for fraud detection. Current systems took hours. The industry standard was minutes. I'd promised them seconds. Brittany Pearson was assigned as my collaboration partner, which in corporate speak meant she was supposed to learn from me. Fresh from her MBA, connected to the CEO through some country club network, she had the pedigree but not the skills. At first, I didn't mind mentoring her. I remembered being young and eager, wanting to prove myself. The problem started small. She'd sit in on my coding sessions, asking questions, taking notes. Normal stuff. Then I'd hear her in meetings, presenting my solutions as our ideas. When I confronted her, she gasped with wounded innocence. "Sandy, of course it's our work. We're a team. I would never take credit away from you." But she did. Consistently, my optimization technique became Brittany's elegant solution. My debugging process was an approach Brittany pioneered. I started documenting everything, but she was clever. Never anything written, always verbal presentations where she could control the narrative. The breaking point came 3 months ago. I developed a compression algorithm that reduced data processing time by 40%. I'd shown Brittany the basic concept, thinking collaboration meant trust. The next day, she presented it to our department head while I was home with the flu. By the time I returned, everyone was congratulating her on her innovation. "You inspired me to think outside the box," she'd said when I confronted her. "I took your initial idea and elevated it. That's what collaboration means, Sandy." HR had been useless. "It's hard to prove ownership of ideas," they'd said. "Maybe focus on better communication moving forward." That's when I'd started working on the real project. The algorithm that would change everything. And this time, I'd learned my lesson. The Financial Analysis Lightning Transform, or FALT, as I'd named it, was my masterpiece. It could process millions of transactions in under 3 seconds with 99.8% accuracy. It was elegant, efficient, and impossibly complex. I'd worked on it at home, on my personal laptop, documenting every step with timestamps and video recordings. But I'd also done something else. Something Brittany, with her MBA and connections, but no actual coding knowledge, would never think to look for. Throughout the code, I'd embedded messages, not comments, those were too obvious. But in the actual structure of the algorithm, in the variable names and function calls, I'd written my story. Line 3847 was my masterpiece within a masterpiece, an ASCII art generator that would display my name and a message when executed, but only if you knew to look for it. I'd shown Brittany the algorithm 2 weeks ago, knowing she'd steal it. I'd counted on it. "This is incredible," she breathed, watching the demo. "How does it work?" I'd explained just enough. The surface level, the impressive results, the basic architecture. She'd taken screenshots, recorded my explanation, done everything but actually understand the code itself. "When are you presenting this to leadership?" she'd asked casually. "Oh, I'm still testing it." I'd lied. "Probably next quarter. Want to make sure it's perfect." Her eyes had gleamed. I'd seen the exact moment she decided to steal it. And now, here we were. Emergency board meeting. The entire C-suite gathered because Brittany had promised them a game-changing innovation. She'd even invited potential investors, turning it into an event. As you can see, Brittany continued, laser pointer dancing across my diagrams, the algorithm reduces processing time by 97% while maintaining accuracy above 99%. This will put Technova at the forefront of financial technology. Board members were leaning forward, excited. Our CEO, Marcus Chen, was already calculating market valuations. The investors were whispering amongst themselves, phones out, probably texting their partners. The applications are limitless, Brittany continued. Real-time fraud detection, instant transaction verification, pattern analysis that used to take hours now done in seconds. This is remarkable, Brittany, Marcus said. How long have you been working on this? 6 months, she lied smoothly. Countless late nights and weekends. But when you're passionate about innovation, it doesn't feel like work. My stomach turned. 6 months ago, she'd been asking me to explain what a recursive function was. Can you walk us through the code? Asked Patricia Liu, our CTO. I'd love to understand the architecture. Brittany's smile flickered for just a second. Of course, though it's quite complex. Perhaps we should focus on the business applications for today's presentation. No, I insist. Patricia pressed. This is technical brilliance. I want to see how it works. Brittany pulled up the code repository, my repository that she'd copied wholesale. Thousands of lines of elegant, complex code filled the screen. As you can see, she said, clearly stalling, the efficiency comes from the unique approach to data structuring. She was speaking gibberish, using technical terms she'd heard but didn't understand. I watched Patricia's eyes narrow. Our CTO knew code, and she knew when someone was bluffing. That's when I spoke up from the back. Run line 3,847. Every head turned to me. I'd been so quiet they'd forgotten I was there. Sandra? Marcus recognized me. Do you have a question? Not a question, I said, standing up. A suggestion. Line 3,847 should demonstrate the algorithm's self-documenting feature. Brittany, why don't you run it? Brittany's face went pale under her perfect makeup. I don't think that's necessary for this demonstration. Actually, I'd like to see it. Patricia interrupted, suspicious now. Self-documenting code is innovative. Run line 3,847. It might not work in this environment, Brittany stammered. Different system configurations. Patricia had already pulled up the console. I'll run it myself. She typed the command. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen exploded with ASI art. The boardroom went absolutely silent. Then Patricia typed another command. The screen filled with more messages, dozens of them, embedded throughout the code. My name, my employee ID, timestamps, even jokes only I would write. If you're reading this, you better not be Brittany. There are messages throughout the entire codebase, Patricia said slowly. Hidden in variable names, function structures, even in the mathematical constants. This is ingenious. She turned to Brittany, who had gone from pale to ghostly. Can you explain why Sandra Williams' name is embedded throughout your algorithm? She must have. When we were collaborating. Brittany's silver tongue had finally failed her. We never collaborated on this, I said clearly. I developed FALT entirely on my own equipment, in my own time. I showed it to Brittany 2 weeks ago. Today is the first time she's presenting it, without my knowledge or consent. That's not true. Brittany protested. We worked together. Tell them about all our late-night sessions. Name one function in the algorithm. Patricia challenged. Just one. Explain what it does. Brittany's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Marcus turned to me. Sandra, is this your work? Every line, I confirmed. I can explain any part of it, document my development process, show you my time-stamped video recordings of writing it. I can also show you my previous algorithm. the one Brittany presented as hers 3 months ago. She's lying. Brittany shrieked. She's jealous of my success. Patricia had pulled up more of the code. Line 1337 has another message. Brittany, if you're stealing this, hi from the past. Line 2048. Property of S. Williams, not B. Pearson. Line 4096. I learned my lesson. Document everything. She looked at me with something approaching awe. How many messages did you hide? 147. I said. One for each day I've worked here while watching Brittany take credit for my ideas. Plus a few extras for good measure. The investors were recording everything on their phones. Tomorrow this would be all over tech Twitter. Marcus's face had gone from excited to furious. Brittany, my office. Now, Sandra, please stay. We need to discuss your algorithm and your future at this company. Patricia, please secure all of Brittany's access immediately. Already done, Patricia said, typing rapidly. I'm also checking what else she might have created. As security escorted a protesting Brittany out, Patricia pulled me aside. The messages were brilliant, she said. But I have to ask, line 5555 just says Patricia Liu is a great CTO. Were you sucking up? I grinned. Check line 5556. She did. It read, just kidding. But she is pretty good at catching code thieves. Patricia laughed, really laughed. Sandra, I think we need to talk about your career path here. Someone this clever shouldn't be mentoring people like Brittany. How do you feel about leading your own team? The aftermath was swift. Brittany was terminated for intellectual property theft and ethics violations. The investors, impressed by both the algorithm and my protective measures, increased their funding commitment. Marcus personally apologized and announced a new company-wide policy on code attribution and intellectual property protection. I was promoted to technical lead with a 40% salary increase and my own development team. The FAL's algorithm was patented under my name and became Technova's flagship product. We now process 60% of real-time financial transactions in the country. But the best part? Line 8888 of the code, which Patricia discovered weeks later during implementation. To future code thieves, I hide signatures in all my work now. This is your only warning. Williams. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just taking back what's yours. It's making sure everyone knows it was yours all along. And if you're really smart, you make sure they can never do it again. Brittany works at a startup now. I heard she's in sales. It's probably for the best, harder to steal someone's work when it's all verbal. Though I wouldn't put it past her to try. As for me, every piece of code I write has my signature hidden inside. Not because I expect theft, but because I've learned that in tech, like in art, you should always sign your masterpieces.